Is Don here? Hey, uh, I have a few questions.
Sure.
First one is, um, what's your thoughts on how brokers are handling the fuel crisis right now?
What are my thoughts? Well,
Yeah, like what are your thoughts?
you know, be more
Not so much
specific
like,
on exactly that.
well,
Uh,
obviously it's taking an effect on the industry. So I'm a truck driver. So I've been a truck driver for 4 years, and
mhm.
so I'm very, very familiar with what the job of the broker is and what the job of the carrier is and the freight forwarder. So
Yeah.
I know that right now it's kind of like it's from what I'm gathering, it's this side of the industry. I'm seeing mixed signals. I'm saying like, oh, I just started my brokerage last month and I just secured like a $42,000 contract. Um, But then on the other side of the coin, I see like almost the complete opposite, where some brokers that even have equipment, they're like, I can't find any drivers, nobody wants to work, fuel is too high, rates are too low, shippers don't want to pay.
Yeah.
Right.
It,
So I'm just
yeah.
curious because you're a professional in this field, and I respect your opinion.
Okay. All valid things. I'll take this in a couple different parts. First, your original question, how do you handle when fuel prices are going up?
Mhm.
And they've gone up pretty rapidly. I mean,
Right.
they've kind of inched up over the last year, and then the last, obviously, 4, 5, 6 weeks because of multiple reasons, but probably because of the unrest over in Europe and Ukraine
Yeah.
and all the craziness and the sanctions and,
Mhm.
and what have you. They've really gone up.
Yep.
And the reality is, when you have quick spikes in fuel price, it's difficult for some companies, like the trucking companies, owner operators and small trucking companies, to adjust to that, especially when some shippers, they're used to paying a certain rate. And
Right.
now there's
Right.
two different types of shippers we deal with. We had accounts when I was in the trucking business, and they're still out there now, where the base rate we pay per mile or per load, and then there is a fuel surcharge. And every week there's a national report that comes out. Everybody has access to it in the trucking business, and all the shippers as well. And it just gives you the annual, the nationwide average. And so if you're hauling loads and you've got clients, many of them that are out there that pay that base plus whatever the weekly average fuel surcharge is, which goes up with the price of fuel, then you're in pretty good shape, because as the cost of gas goes up, automatically the rates that are getting paid by shippers and or brokers to the trucking companies, owner operators and trucking companies, they adjust as well. The problem sometimes is when you've been dealing with clients that don't have that fuel surcharge, they're just paying a per load amount or a per mile amount. And, in a 30-day period, when the cost of fuel goes up 10, 15, 20% in a 30-day time frame, like in some cases it has in many areas, that's a pretty significant jump in a relatively short period of time. Well, not all shipping companies are going to want to adjust what they've been paying the last year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe by
Makes sense.
10, 15, 20%. So it does get challenging. Now, this is where the whole theme of the training that you missed earlier today comes in, the law of averages. And it's really about building a massive fleet of trucks that will be at your disposal when they're needed, and having the law of averages work on your side. Because you're right, in a time like this, there are going to be a lot of truck drivers saying, I'm not moving for $2.95 a mile. I'm not moving for
Right.
$3.25 a mile. They may not move for
Right.
$3.50 a mile at this point.
Yeah.
What was a minimum a year ago or even 6 months ago, there is a lot of trucking companies, owner operators say, I'd rather just sit, or else I'm paying you to haul your load. So I understand.
Yeah. And then there's
That
even
happens.
some truck drivers that are they're even saying that there's some So there's a lot of carriers that are taking freight that's, you know, they don't even understand how, like, logically they're trying to figure out, you know, like for instance, there was a broker that was on Facebook, and he was trying to get a load from Canada to Houston, and there was like 10 loads, and he had to do it in like a week or some crazy stuff like that. So is it like how do brokers end up getting these loads when they don't have carriers?
That's a good question. And that's the point of my, the point of my discussion earlier is
I feel like I understand what's going on, but I don't.
It's kind of like the number one key to success in the freight brokerage business, going back to the training thing, get the law of averages on your side, contact as many shippers and carriers as possible. I mean, we even set targets. We talked about how in the first 30 days that you're a freight agent or freight broker, contacting a minimum number of shippers and carriers every day. At the end of 30 days, you got 20 shippers, 200 trucking companies, theoretically. At the end of 90 days, you got 60 shippers, 600 trucking companies or owner operators that have answered a simple question: is next time I get a good paying load, would you like me to give you a call or send you an email? Now, what happens in the freight brokerage business is a lot of agents and brokers get lazy. Quite frankly, they get complacent. They get a few decent shipping accounts. They get a handful of trucking companies they're working with, and they know they'll take most of their loads, and they just kind of, why work any harder than I have to? And they don't build up a large enough potential database of trucks and or shippers to work with. Usually it's because they don't have enough trucking companies and owner operators. I think, the key to success as a freight broker, freight agent is to build up a massive fleet of trucks that will be at your disposal when you need them. Now, and massive, a few hundred trucks in several, tightly condensed into several key areas that you're working. Like, again, if you're based in Pennsylvania, I might want to have a couple, 200 to 300 trucks within a 100-mile radius of Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. And if I'm doing business nationwide, I'm going to need several thousand trucks, so that anytime I get your example of Canada, Houston, if I know that's an area I'm going to be running, I need dozens of trucking companies based up in Canada, and I'm going to need dozens of trucking companies based in and around the Houston area. And if I've got dozens of trucking companies in each of those areas, that's going to give me probably hundreds of potential trucks in each of those areas. Then I'm not relying on one or two owner operators or trucking companies. If one says, no, I can't make that run. No, I'm not going to run for that. You've got a list and you're just going down the line. I don't need everybody to be willing to haul a load from, British Columbia to Houston. I just need one company. Or again, you may have more than one load. So whatever, if I need 2 trucks, I want to list. So the more people, the more potential trucking companies and owner operators I have, the better my chances that the law of averages is in my plan. If I've got 25 companies and I'm going down the list, my chance of finding one that needs a load and is willing to go from British Columbia or wherever in Canada, Houston, is a heck of a lot better than if I only have 3. Agreed? So if I only got 2 or 3, it doesn't, but if I got 25 or 30 or 40 or 50 on a list of potential, then I'm much more likely, even in tough times, even when the cost of fuel has gone up, even whatever, when there's more trucks in an area than there are loads, or when there's more loads in an area than there are trucks, and everybody knows. So again, that's the key. You got to have the numbers on your side so that when things get tougher or when you get a difficult situation, you have more possibilities to get a match. I only need one.
I see.
I need the numbers on my side.
Okay, makes sense. Um,